Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Unfortunately, today I'm going to come at you with a little bit of bad news. You know, we've had a lot of good news lately, but sometimes the news is not so good. And that's the case today. I'm sure a lot of you are aware that a federal court recently struck down the Biden administration's rule that the ATF would be treating 80% lowers as if they are receivers. They basically just unilaterally decided, hey, if it can be turned into a receiver, then it's a receiver, meaning that a block of plastic or a block of aluminum could be treated like receivers. And a federal court says, you don't have that power. You can't do that. And in fact, they didn't just say that's illegal. They actually slapped the ATF down pretty good because their defense of their actions was like, hey, we've done similar stuff in the past. And the judge was like, well, in the past, you've been breaking the law. So you're not only breaking the law now, you're admitting you did it all the time and you don't care. So they got slapped down pretty hard, which meant that their new rule that 80% lowers and things like that were receivers and had to have a serial number and a background check couldn't be enforced. Well, today, the Supreme Court betrayed the Constitution and betrayed the Second Amendment and the gun community by staying that order, saying the Biden administration can continue to do what they were doing. And it isn't the leftist judges that surprise us with this decision. We didn't expect them to actually side with freedom or the Second Amendment, but we expected the conservative judges to do it. And since this decision was 5-4 and the makeup of the court is 6-3, two conservative judges betrayed us. Now, I'm not all that surprised about Roberts. I think we kind of expect him to go both ways sometimes. He's not a reliable vote, period, when it comes to gun issues. What I'm going to act like I'm surprised about is Amy Coney Barrett actually turning on us, because a lot of people think she's the darling of the gun community. She's a very pro-gun judge, but actually she's not. And this betrayal is not that surprising. This is her betraying us again. Remember when they were talking about whether New York has the right to ban guns in public areas? Amy Coney Barrett was the one that said, well, surely we don't want people to have guns in Times Square. We want to make it to where people can't carry there because, that makes perfect sense. A place where there is an abnormally large number of bad guys trying to take advantage of a huge number of good, innocent people. In those types of situations where there's bad guys looking to turn good guys into victims at a higher rate than most any other place, well, that's when you want to disarm the good guys, because the bad guys aren't going to be disarmed. That makes perfect sense. That's the way Amy Coney Barrett saw it anyway. So this isn't the first time she's betrayed us. This is just another time that she has betrayed the Constitution and the Second Amendment and the gun community. Which the lesson here is, quit thinking that you can trust someone just because they have an R after their name or that they're conservative, because you can't. None of them really want us to be free. Because if we're free, then their masters that, pay for their yacht trips and their mobile homes and all their other stuff, if they get, taken down by an angry populace, well, then who's going to fund all their stuff? They serve the billionaires just like the rest of the politicians do. And sometimes when everybody's watching, they have to do the right thing. But when they don't have to, they often don't. So this is actually a failure on our part to educate the community and bring more people into the gun community and make them recognize the importance of the Second Amendment, because we've been doing really bad about that for the last couple of decades. And it's paying off for the leftists now because most people don't care. And most people think, an 80%er should have a serial number and have a background check because a bad guy could build a gun, because they don't understand the principles of the Second Amendment. We've been really bad about explaining that to people, which is why I 100% believe now that even if the Supreme Court does overturn this, which I'm not saying they won't, I still think they will. That's my judge. That's my guess, is that once it gets up for judgment and they're actually ruling on the actual case, they will say the ATF doesn't have the right to create legislation and to reinterpret the laws, and they will strike it down, even though they've upheld it for now. But if this went to Congress And they wrote a bill saying that, hey, these 80%ers need to have serial numbers and have background checks for purchase, I think it'd pass. I think even conservatives would vote for it. And I think the vast majority of people in the country wouldn't care. And like I said, that's just another example of how we have failed to educate people on the principles of the Second Amendment. It's not that someone wants bad guys to be able to easily make a gun. It's that if we allow the government to start saying, a block of plastic is a gun, and therefore regulate it with a ridiculous law like interstate commerce laws, well, then we're basically saying they can do anything they want, whenever they want. And most people don't understand that because we've done, like I said, such a poor job of bringing more people into the Second Amendment and helping them understand the importance of all the amendments. We've been really bad about that. So like I said, this is just another example of Amy Coney Barrett stabbing us in the back. It's another example of how you can't trust someone just because they say they're conservative or they're a Republican. If they're a politician or one of the other tools of the elite, we as the people can't trust them. Also, like I said, it's an example of how we have to start doing better educating people. Not just on, hey, guns are awesome, like guns, but on the principles of the Constitution, why these restrictions exist on government, and how important they are. We need to start being more welcoming to people so that we can actually have these conversations with them. Because if we don't, eventually we're going to lose all of our rights. 20 years from now, our kids will lose everything because we didn't stand up now and we didn't act like mature adults and try to bring as many people into the fold as possible. So I just wanted to make this video today to make people aware that these are some lessons we need to learn. We need to pay attention. And like I said, I think we'll still win this one in the end. But for right now, this is a perfect example of how you can't count on people to do the right thing just because you think they will. And we have to start doing better as a community in making sure that the people understand what we're talking about.